Coin Trooper.
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Can you guys hear me fine? Is it loud?
What's
Sounds good.
that?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
good.
it
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
driving
Pretty
right now,
good.
but I've been tuned in for a while. But yeah, I was just wanted to chime in on, you talking about how you put, over 10,000 hours into this. And, this is
Uh,
like, this is a profession, just like, wanting to be an athlete. I know you were a bodybuilder. You had to put those hours
mhm,
in, but I do got to
yeah.
ask, I mean, you're diving into something like this. How do you balance your life out without, over stressing or getting into a downward spiral? Because I know that can happen
Yeah.
to a lot of people, just overwhelmed. But you do have to eventually get those 10,000 hours and more.
hmm
So we
Yeah.
wanted to talk on just how to stay balanced within that because trading can be stressful.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's a God, man. You just answered or asked, I'm sorry, you just asked one of the most important questions, especially as it relates to someone with family or a husband, wife, kids, shit, dogs, you know what I mean? Like someone that values things outside of whatever it is they're trying to achieve, at least somewhat as much or more than that thing. You know what I mean? And the way I would answer that, a and I think this is a good this is a good point as far as like how to balance things. If you have a if you have a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, best friend that you're with a lot, mother, father, if you're younger, reach out to them and ask them like, hey, will you kind of help rein me in, because if you're like me, like I was saying earlier, I get obsessed really easy, and I tend to get tunnel vision, and just block everything else out. And that's great. You tend to excel really fast, but at the same time, it's easy to lose things at the same time. You know what I mean? And an important thing is we never want to lose important things to gain something, regardless of its importance, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
Can I add something? Do you mind?
yeah, no,
I
100%.
think when you make that decision that you are going to go down that route, you're all in. You have that all in mentality. Sometimes you have
Mhm,
that doubt in what you're doing. What I would recommend if you do have that doubt or that frustration is just to lean in more towards the community. Look for help.
yep.
Try to avoid it. I found myself in a two week period where I just didn't want to do anything with charts or the community, and
Mhm,
you lose yourself to these other distractions and whatnot, and it's sometimes hard to accept the fact that you kind of let yourself down and you got to get back into it.
mhm.
But yeah, just lean into the people that are still gunning for that end goal, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
don't get
a
discouraged.
100%. That's a good point, and that's like kind of what I've been saying about losing trades, right? And you know, shit, man, it's embarrassing, and that's why I've always done things, never necessarily in the limelight, like, hey, oh, I can do this or that, but like, hey, if you got a question, shoot me a DM, because like I want to help, you know what I mean? And I understand, more importantly, that it's difficult, man, to ask questions in front of people. Like, for instance, if you're in a group and everybody is 6 months, 12 months, 15 months in, and you're 1 month in, it's hard to ask a question, be like, hey, what is this simple, stupid thing that all y'all know and figured out long ago? It's hard to ask that question. right? Because you feel stupid. Insecurities kind of come into play. And that's why I've always kind of tried my best to encourage people to do things through DM. And I have found that the moment you do that and you kind of give them a space to open up and, just tell them like, hey man, like we've all been through that crap. Like we were all stupid, and hey, I'm still stupid now, but I'm just stupid on different things. You know what I mean? Like none of us are geniuses on any of these things. We're just smart on the things that we were stupid on before. That's a really good point, I think, to take home. And if someone, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if someone ever in this freaking group ever does some crap like this, where someone asks a simple question and they're learning and someone else like kind of craps on them for that question, yeah, like I know Queen 100% and Pandy will agree with me on this. There's no room for that. You know what I mean? That's not beneficial to anyone other than one person's ego. So to kind of get back to the root of the question is about balance. My initial response was to lean on your spouse or, closest family member or best friend or whatever. Some people don't have that, of course. I understand that. And that's where you kind of segued into leaning on the community. And that kind of ties in perfectly what I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks. That's the purpose of all of this, right? Like it's the purpose to build this community and to kind of cast ego to the side. And it's okay, man. Like it's okay. Like, hey, you hit a trade to the dollar and you nail it and whatnot. Like that's all well and good. Like, be proud of it. You know what I mean? But don't come in there and be like, oh, I hit the top, perfectly. I'm so awesome and blah, blah, blah. Right. There's a difference. There's a difference between being proud and being prideful. And I know that kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but there's a big difference in my opinion. So if you don't have a close family member, relative, or someone to lean on to keep you in check and help you realize when you're going wrong, I say set boundaries for yourself, right? And that's going to come into play of like recognizing the person who you are. If you're like me, you're a very obsessive person, okay? And you're going to go all in on something and you're going to be like, all right, I got 8 hours to work, okay? And then, from 6 to 10, because I need to go to sleep at 10 because sleep is really important for this fitness, everything. Sleep's super important. So I got from 6 to 10. That's my window. All right. I get home at 6. I got to go to sleep at 10. Now, what do I got to do? Like, what are my basic requirements? All right. I got to make dinner. I got to take care of my dogs or whatever it is. So now I'm left from, all right, I got 7 to 10. All right. Now I need to allot an amount of time to study and chart and trade in that amount of time. But this is where the balance part comes into play. I cannot use that 7 to 10 block completely. Sure, I can do that and it'll work for a while, but what do you think is going to happen after 3 months or 4 months or 5 months? It's an honest question.
Well, I think when it comes down to the end of the day, if you have a family or people you live with, obviously you should give them quality time.
Mhm.
just to keep that relationship good. But even
That's
if you
right.
just took a small chunk of that 3 hours left to just identify key levels,
Mhm.
where you might possibly be looking for a trade, that's what I would do. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be sitting there for 3 hours trying to, scalp to make up for
Exactly.
the hours I lost. I'm going to wait for that
Exactly.
high probability time frame and get to doing whatever is going to benefit my health, whether it's rest or make dinner or just get out and get some fresh air or be with the
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
But also, dedicating that specific amount of time to trading is important as well, because you're giving yourself a time frame to um, progress. Like, you're giving yourself the opportunity to progress. You've already mentally put that in your head. I'm gonna do 2 hours of this. And I'm gonna do 1 hour of studying. I'm gonna do 1 hour of back testing.
Mhm.
So just we call it, what is it? It's called time blocking, I believe it's
Mhm.
called.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I think that's important. But yeah, also just staying healthy, whether it's resting or being with your family.
Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect. That's perfect answer. And that's my point is like, first of all, we need to prioritize our health, being healthy, being fit, because without those things, we can't do crap. Like, we're not going to learn trading well. Like, we're going to feel like dum dums, right? And we can't be a good person to our family if our health has been sacrificed. And then next, I would say family, right? And I know that seems kind of counterintuitive, but like I just said, you can't provide for your family, do well by your family if your health is crap. I've learned that lesson way too many times. So that's next. So now we figure out, like, all right, well, I got these 3 hours in the evening, but I know one of them is going to be eaten up by responsibilities. And let's say I want to add another one just for leisure hangout time with my family. So now I got 1 hour, right? And it's not a lot. And this is a hypothetical scenario, but now I'm going to allocate that and I'm going to abide by it. Like, that's going to be my routine. I've got this 1 hour and I'm going to stick to it now. But now I'm balanced, right? I'm not spending too much time on this or that, but I'm not neglecting myself, my leisure time. I'm not neglecting my family. And I'm also still pushing myself and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Pursuing the thing in which I want to achieve. And the more understanding your family is, and this really kind of comes in more into play with a spouse that's older, more emotionally mature versus a 5-year-old kid, because they don't understand these things. But when you tell them, like, hey, this isn't a long-term thing, I've got to really dive into this. I know it sucks, like I know that I'm absent way more than I should be, way more than I want to be, but it's temporary and it's for the greater good for us, right? So that's where a good spouse or family member or friend comes into play as well. Um, and then once you have that kind of buttoned down, you would be really surprised about how many holes you can pick into your daily routine and grab more time. So for me, and a year or two ago, for example, um, I used to wake up and I'd wake up at 5 a.m., get ready. I go to the gym for about an hour, then I would go to work for 8 to 10 hours. I'd get off, I'd do my daily responsibilities, and then I would spend that last time of the day dedicated to my wife, and rinse and repeat. And then once I was in that routine and I had that kind of buttoned down, I'd be like, I could probably start easing myself into waking up at 4 so I could study from that first hour before I got up to get ready for the gym. And then I would be like, after I got that down, I'd be like, you know, I'm pretty sure I could kind of squeeze in, 15, 20, 30 minutes in the morning at work while I'm like getting dressed from the gym to work clothes and just watch a video and, you know what I mean, kind of think about stuff, even if it's just thinking about things. And then I get that button down and then I'd be like, you know, it's lunchtime. I got to eat, of course, right? But what if I ate standing up and kept working, but I listened to something where I learned, right? Or I took my lunch break like normal and I watched a video and learned for that hour, so I gained another hour. And then when I go to sleep at night, after I got that down, I go to sleep at night and I'd be like, man, I'm laying here for 30, 45 minutes trying to fall asleep. What if I watched a video for 10 or 15 minutes before I fell asleep? You see what I'm saying? So there's ways to squeeze in little bits of time here and there. But the big point is like, don't try to squeeze them all in at once because it does not work. It doesn't work. I promise you. 99% of the people will fail if they try to achieve that. That's just a fact.